Something pretty big happened today. I wanted to talk about it, and by today I mean my today, which is in the morning, or sorry, in the daytime of the previous day. Apparently, one of the Blizzard managers, Brian Birmingham. If you guys don't know who that is, he was very influential in Classic. That's mainly where he worked in, and there's a lot going on behind this, right? So I'm not really exactly sure like where to start with this. I guess I'll just start with the posts that I liked, and we're gonna go from there. So let me see if I can find this here. Okay, and okay. I think that should be pretty much everything, right? Yeah. Okay, so anyway, today a story came out, and this was a story that was put out by Jason Schreier about a Blizzard manager who left Blizzard in protest of an employee ranking system. So effectively what this system did is it made it to where you couldn't have everybody that's doing well. You had to have some people that were not doing well. And I'm going to go ahead and read this for you guys to show you exactly what this means. Some of you guys might be in jobs or companies that have this, I'm not sure. But anyway, look at this. Blizzard, a unit of Activision Blizzard Incorporated, big surprise, implemented a process called stack ranking, okay? In which employees are ranked on a bell curve, and managers must give low ratings to a certain percentage of staff, according to people familiar with the change who asked not to be named, discussing a private matter. Managers were expected to give a poor developing status to roughly 5% of employees on their teams, which would lower their profit-sharing bonus money and could hamper them from receiving raises or promotions in the near future. So this is effectively what happened. And what this means, really, is that effectively not everybody can be a winner. You have to have some losers, because if you have only winners, then, you know, like, it doesn't matter if you win. Basically, Blizzard saw what Warcraft Logs was doing, and they thought, this is a great idea, we're going to put this in our company. So anyway, Brian Birmingham, who's a co-lead developer of World of Warcraft Classic. I'm not sure if you guys have played that game before, but yes, that's exactly what he did. And I think there's been a couple interviews, etc. Wrote an email to his staff last week to express his frustration with this system. He wrote that he and other managers on the Warcraft team had been able to circumvent or skip filling the quota for the last 2 years, and he believed that the mandate had been dropped or it wasn't strictly enforced. But recently, Birmingham said he was forced to lower an employee from an average successful rating to developing in order to hit a quota. So we always talk about like fucking diversity quotas and stuff like this. Well, how about a quota for making sure that you have shitty employees? Isn't that a great idea, guys? Yeah, you've got an employee who's doing fine, but because other employees are also doing fine but maybe a little bit better, this person is now a piece of shit. It's incredible. So anyway, we'll go ahead and we'll read this. When team leads ask why we had to do this, World of Warcraft directors explained that while they did not agree, the reasons given by executive leadership, and we're going to go back to that word in a bit, were that it was important to squeeze the bottom most performers as a way to make sure everybody continues to grow. Birmingham wrote in an email which was reviewed by Bloomberg. Now, I think this type of a system where you're graded on a curve is not good and is toxic fundamentally, but I think what really makes it bad is the fact that you actually lose money. This system that necessitates losers causes people to lose money. Like, you actually get a paycheck cut if you are affected by this bell curve grading system for nothing. Literally nothing. Because that's why the bell curve exists, is to, you know, if you didn't have the bell curve system, then it wouldn't need to exist. So it's built into that because it needs to exist, logically. Birmingham said that he, wrote that he refused. This sort of policy encourages competition between employees, sabotage of one another's work, a desire for people to find low-performing teams so they can be the best-performing worker on, and ultimately erodes trust and destroys creativity. So I think this is absolutely fucking true. Now, whenever I worked at the government, and you guys, if any of you guys have ever worked with the federal government before, you would be familiar with the 1 through 5 system. The 1 through 5 system is very simple. If you have a 3, that's good enough. If you have a 4, that's great. If you have a 5, that's tremendous. If you have a 2, you suck. And if you have a 1, you need to start looking for a new job because they're probably going to fucking fire you. So, what does that really mean? That means that if you are at your job, and this is what I did whenever I worked at my job was not necessarily to provide the best service to the taxpayer. It was to get a 3. And that's what these systems do, is whenever you gamify a job, you have people that play the game and not their job. It's simple. Because, like, for example, I'll expand on this a bit. So basically what would happen is that you would be ranked on the quantity of documents that you would process, and there would be temporary random, and they were not random because people figured out whenever they were happening, especially me. I was the first person to figure this out, and everybody else was like, I told like 3 other people, then they told other people, and then, you know, that's what it was. Anyway, so because it was easy to tell. It's not like I'm some kind of fucking genius. Anyway, so your quantity of documents produced was always graded. Like, every document that you ever produce was ranked on its quantity. However, the quality of documents was only ranked inside of a small window of time. So what does that mean? That means in order to min-max, you want to focus on quality inside of that window of time that quality is important, and outside of that, you want to focus entirely on quantity. And again, that's min-maxing. Right? That's, I mean, and how can you fault a person for doing this? Because I actually don't think this is an employee's problem. This is not an employee's fault, because these people are literally fighting for their lives. These are their jobs. They, you know, they have kids, they have a family, they are trying to go to school, they have expenses, they want to live and, you know, live a comfortable life. So whenever you say that in order to live a comfortable life and in order to hold your job, which enables you to do so, requires mandatory, like, arbitrary benchmarks that you have to meet, you're going to have a lot of people that focus on the arbitrary benchmarks instead of the actual job. Because doing the actual job might be tangential to those benchmarks, but those benchmarks are what really matters, not your actual, your productivity as a worker as a holistic sense. Because, like, for example, this is kind of what this is what a lot of these systems do. So imagine you have a pie chart, and this is the total scope of quality work from an employee. So what this means is, like, this is customer service, this is frequency of responses, this is being able to adequately understand what the consumer's problem is, this is being able to fix that problem in a timely manner, this is doing so while being cordial and polite and enjoyable to work with, this is your competency in doing so, how fast you do it, everything. This is everything, it's all in this circle. Here's what the problem is, and tell me if you guys haven't had the same experience whenever you've been in a job. The progress reports and rating systems only capture about a quarter of what your actual job is. So all of this other part right here, the green part, is not being ranked. Nobody's paying attention to the green part because it's not in the red. And you know what happens whenever you have a green part that nobody's paying attention to? Well, you can look at how Blizzard's customer service is. It turns brown. That's what happens. Because people stop playing their job, they stop working, and they start playing the game of min-maxing these arbitrary systems. So I am a very, very massive fucking advocate against these things. I think they are toxic not only to employees, they encourage employees to be toxic towards each other. There is effectively no upside to this. When I worked for the Postal Service, the interviews for promotions were conducted by managers that didn't even know my first name and never saw my work. Yeah, so what a surprise. They didn't know what you were doing. But without the system, no one will work. You are familiar, like, so this is something you might not know because you're probably like 11 or something, right? So corporate America and corporate like, just the way that these corporations work is actually very similar to how individuals work. There are trends, there are, you know, like different types of like, oh, this is a fad, this is what we're going to be doing now, etc. This is very, very common in corporate America in the same way that, like, right now, like, we watched the video. Remember the video about, like, all the kids drinking Prime, etc.? Well, corporate America isn't that much different. They have these memes, these, like, fads that they get into, and right now, what's this called? Like, stack ranking is an example of one of those meme policies. It's something that all of the billionaires are talking about on LinkedIn, so everybody else thinks that they need to do it too in order to get there. So the idea that it like productivity is impossible without stack ranking implies that every single company that existed before stack ranking was not productive, which is ridiculous. We all know that. And I think that one thing, and this is something that we can generally agree on, it's probably true, is that customer service with Blizzard has deteriorated over the last 10 years. Would you guys agree with that? I would say that it is a lot worse than it was. Yes, for sure. So if anything, I think that these ranking policies, because you know what this ranking policy convinces a GM to do? The ranking policy convinces a GM to wait for you to log off of your main to log onto your alt, and while you're on the character select screen, they send a pre-fucking created message that said, sorry, we couldn't reach you while you were online. We can't fix your issue, but thanks for playing Blizzard games. And, you know, we can't do anything about your, you know, your item restoration. Sorry, that's too bad. And because for them, that's a ticket. That's a check mark. They're done with that ticket. Done with that ticket. And then they move on to the next one. Yeah, the moment I stopped giving a shit about my job, they made me supervisor. Yeah, they made a whole movie about that. It was Office Space. It was amazing. It was one of the best movies ever made. So yeah, GMs are outsourced to India, though? No, I don't think that all of them are. So yeah, I think this is it's a horrible policy. It encourages effectively cannibalistic behavior between employees, and it also creates a very unhealthy and hostile relationship that a supervisor has with their employees. Because it's like, you're basically sitting with like 20 people, and it's like at the end of the month, I'm gonna have to fire 2 of you people. Even if I like all of you, I'm gonna have to find the 2 worst of the 2 people that I like the least, and we're gonna have to get rid of you. That's really weird. Eat or be eaten. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, basically, my point is, like, sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a whole tangent, but I wanted to express exactly how toxic this is, and I wanted to give you guys like a pie graph of why it is toxic. But do you guys see my point that I'm making here, and like how this pie graph works and everything? Yeah, it's an elimination reality show. Exactly, it's like Survivor. Yeah, okay, good. So anyway, let's move on. And what's this here? Birmingham wrote that he refused to work at Blizzard. He refused to work at Blizzard until the company removed this stack ranking policy. If this policy can be reversed, perhaps my Blizzard can still be saved. And if so, I would love to continue working there. Birmingham wrote, if this policy cannot be reversed, then Blizzard Entertainment. Then the Blizzard Entertainment I want to work for doesn't exist anymore, and I'll have to find somewhere else to work. So this guy literally fucking threw down the gauntlet, and he said, fuck you, I'm not going to do this. If you want me to fire somebody or get rid of somebody, you're going to get rid of me. An absolute fucking Giga Chad moment. Brian with the biggest fucking dick. I am so glad to see this. Thank God. And you know what the funny thing is? If everybody in the company just said the exact same thing that he did, this policy would evaporate tomorrow. Keep that in mind. If everybody said, fuck this, we're not going to do this, we're not going to show up until you get rid of this, it would be gone in a second. I hope that I hope the people at Blizzard realize that. Like, I would rather have a, like, you know, a couple of weeks where the servers, you know, like, tickets take longer, you know, there's things that are fucked up, a patch gets delayed, to know that the people that are making my game are not constantly playing Survivor or some other fucking 90s game show, survival like elimination game show with everybody else in the office because of some bullshit that was made by a person who's never even done their job. It's ridiculous. So anyway, let's read the rest of this. Birmingham Turtle told a large group of colleagues he was resigning. And then he said, he was then called by an HR representative to confirm his resignation, and he told them that he was still considering it, but he would not work until the policy was retracted. He was then terminated, according to the email. Birmingham didn't respond to a request for comment. A Blizzard spokesperson said the company's employee evaluation process was designed to facilitate excellence in performance and ensure employees who don't meet performance expectations receive more honest feedback, differentiated compensation, and a plan on how to best improve their own performance. Now, the way that most companies do this, if they actually don't want to just save money, is if they want to get more honest feedback and they get better performance evaluations, is they hire a third-party company that does this for them. Remember the two Bobs in Office Space? Well, my dad did that. That's what they do, is they go in and they evaluate the company as a third-party objective source, and they decide like what's going right and what's going wrong. And this is effectively the cheap version of doing that. It's actually a good thing. It is a good and a bad thing, right? It can be both. But yeah, it depends. Which is even more bullshit. I think a lot of times whenever you ask people to do anything like that, a lot of people are going to think it's bullshit. But I think we can both agree, maybe, that it's significantly less bullshit, assuming that the third party has experience. Now, if they don't, of course, it's all out the window. Well, anyway, and a plan on how to best improve their own performance. A spokesperson added that the evaluation process involves conversations with multiple managers, and sometimes ratings move up or down based on those discussions. Well, that's a ridiculous outcome. That's silly to say. Because if the person is saying that, I don't agree. I don't agree with this. I think that they are saying a lot they are saying a little by saying a lot. The spokesperson added the evaluation involves conversations with multiple managers. Sometimes ratings move up and down based on those discussions. So let's actually look at the words that are used. Conversations does not imply that the multiple managers have an effect on the outcome of that evaluation. And also, sometimes they move up or down based on those discussions is not a causal factor. So what they're really saying is that managers discuss employees, but this does not necessarily say that separate managers are evaluating other employees, which also creates its own problem, which I think somebody could easily say with the thing that I was talking about, is that you have people that are not familiar with a person's work evaluating them. And in a lot of cases, that creates other bad outcomes as well. So yeah, there's no good solution, but I think this is certainly a bad one. Stack ranking, which gained widespread popularity after it was brought to General Electric in the 1980s, is used by several tech companies, including Amazon. The process, often criticized for pitting employees against one another and for facilitating toxic environments, has become less popular over the last decade. Microsoft, pending regulatory review, put an end to its own stack ranking program in 2013. And this is actually something I wanted to show here. And this is a tweet by Chris Kaliki. He's one of the guys at Notorious, and he used to work at Blizzard. He was, I think, the guy that basically made Monks, so he pretty much ruined Mists of Pandaria for me. And anyway, he was a dev on WoW for a long time. He left, made his own company. And he says, ironic because stack ranking was once used at Microsoft, which is the company that's buying them, and then it was removed, and this is 10 years ago in 2013. In hindsight, it was seen as one of the main differences from Microsoft's lost decade. So there we go. So you already have an instance of a company removing this because it's toxic and bad. Blizzard is moving backwards, yes. In recent years, Blizzard's corporate overseers at Activision have taken a larger role in operations, pushing the company to cut costs and produce games more quickly. So in the email, Birmingham said that he had been asked to keep the process secret, but he had refused. We were asked to keep it confidential because it was ongoing discussion, and we don't want Activision executives to make things even worse. The threat of retaliation cannot be allowed to motivate our actions. Even if that's legal, it's certainly not ethical, and I can't support it. So this guy, like, again, made the absolute fucking massive Giga Chad move to throw down the gauntlet, to say fuck this, and he put it on the line, and I think Blizzard really made a martyr out of him. I think nobody is looking at this situation thinking that he's in the wrong. So this is what Brian said himself from Twitter. And I also want to add in a little bit of context to this. I don't know how much of this is explicitly Jason Schreier's fault, but an unfortunate reality is that Brian Birmingham didn't want this to go public. And people believe, and this is another developer at WoW. He's a game producer at World of Warcraft, right? So it's not like this is a, like a senior, sort of like a junior associate artist. Like, this is a game producer. And this is what he said about this story becoming public. This might be vague and confusing, but if you see a story about our team today, I want you to keep in mind that the person who is the subject of that story did not give his consent to the news being published. And the journalist, quotes, who wrote the story almost certainly didn't stop for a second to consider the damage that could be done to that person right now. They just wanted the scoop. It's objectively good to applaud the bravery of a person who's a focal point in that story. They took a principled stand for something they believe in against something that is fucking wrong. This is actually, like, really big and impressive that somebody who is, an employee at the company just fucking says it's fucking wrong. Absolutely great to see that. I'm so very proud of him, but I'm also not one of the ones looking for a new job, looking to support a family. Publishing and signal boosting the story only adds to the difficulties that this one person may have. When or if the person in the story is ready to speak about this, they can make that decision themselves. And they have, so we're talking about it, etc. So until then, consider the harm of this a bit of journalism can actually do to an ordinary person who only wanted to do the right thing and didn't ask that he be outed to some stranger who just wants clicks and page views. He's just a normal guy with a family. So I don't know if Jason Schreier acted in bad faith. I don't know if he obtained this information from Brian directly and then he made it public without his consent. I think that if Jason Schreier did that, that is a massive fucking L. And it would actually be surprising to me because I think that Jason Schreier in general provides relatively good coverage of gaming news. So that would really suck if he did that. But it really sucks also for Brian because you have to look at it from, like, let's take this conversation off of Twitter and let's think about this in the real world. The next company that's going to hire Brian Birmingham could look at his removal or his departure from Blizzard as him refusing to follow orders, because that is fundamentally what it is. Even if he's being a conscientious objector, fundamentally he is also refusing to follow orders. So him doing that could actually hurt his prospects of getting a job in the future, even though he did the right thing. So that's what really fucking sucks about this. And, like, why does somebody, like, think about it, if you're a company, do you want to have somebody in your company who could potentially create a lot of bad PR for you because they disagree with the system that you're using? And that's why it really sucks that Brian Birmingham wasn't the one that made this public, and he didn't consent to it being public. If he did, I think it would be totally fine. That's the choice that he makes. But this is just really fucking shitty that it was made public. And I can't 100% blame Jason Schreier. I don't know if he acted in bad faith or not, but it's really disappointing that it happened. Does it change the employees that are graded on a curve, regardless of who leaks it? It affects Brian Birmingham on a personal level. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's not the focus. The focus should be Blizzard. You can't say, and I understand that you can make a greater good argument, but just understand that in the process of making that argument, you have to make a sacrifice. And that sacrificial lamb was Brian Birmingham's potential future career. That's just the truth. So if you think it's worth it, that's totally fine. But that's what happened. You might get blacklisted in the industry and branded a whistleblower. Exactly. Or some sort of a person that has a problem with authority. Speaking up puts a target on you. Yeah. Another company might respect why you quit, though. Who knows? Yeah. Or not. And that's what I'm saying. You're totally right that could be the case. But I'm also totally right that the opposite could be the case. So yeah, that's what sucks, man. Damaging a good management chat is a feel bad. Yeah. I mean, think about this, right? I mean, I think classic WoW, like for I'll say, like, you know, recency bias. Wrath of the Lich King, I think, has been managed perfectly. I am in support of every single decision that Blizzard has made with WoW Classic and Wrath of the Lich King. Every single one of them is a W. And I think the majority of decisions in BC were W's as well. What? Yeah. Old War is a tiny bit late, in my opinion. I excuse that because of Dragonflight release. And I think that they didn't want to repeat what happened with Nax. So yeah, I definitely... Wrath of the Lich King release was terrible? I don't think so. I think it was totally fine. Wouldn't want to work for a company that held something like that against me? Well, yeah, but like... He doesn't get to make that decision. And also, the way the company interfaces with that information, like, imagine if he had told them the story versus if the story was out in the public. Do you understand, like, a lot of companies don't want this type of public scrutiny at all? They just want to make money and have nobody talk about them and do it quietly. So, yeah. Since he's in tech business, surely other companies will take into account his departure situation. I think that they will, but I think that they will in both cases. In both directions. Giving lower points based on quota is not a new thing, though. Work at a technology company. At this point, the system has been used for a long time. Yes, you're right. Grading on a curve has been used for a long time, but I think that also it hasn't been used forever. It's not necessary because many companies don't use it. It is a toxic type of grading, and it very obviously seems that companies that use this do not universally perform better than companies that do not. I think that Microsoft has done... I don't know, like, is this weird for me to say that I think Microsoft had more W's in the last 10 years than from 2003 to 2013, whenever they had basically nothing happen except for, like, 7 terrible operating systems minus Windows 7? Yeah, I mean, like, Microsoft completely fucked up for the majority of the 2000s. And right now, I think Microsoft is in a great position. That's why they're able to acquire Activision Blizzard King, a massive $69 billion company. Windows XP was goated? Windows XP, when did that happen? I think Windows XP, didn't that come out somewhere around like 2002? Was it 2004? 2004, okay, yeah. Maybe not. That would be one thing. Yeah, I think Windows XP, like, I feel like the Windows right now, like the Windows that we use now, is great. I have no complaints and no problems with Windows. The last Windows that I had a problem with was Windows 8. I did not like Windows 8. 2001? Yeah, October 2001. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate that. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Windows 8 was dog shit. Yeah, Windows 8 was bad. Vista, remember Windows ME, Millennium Edition? Oh my god. Microsoft like 1,500 lawyers. You don't hear shit about what they do? No, you don't necessarily, but I think the company is successful and it's doing well, and I think that a lot of decisions that Microsoft makes are good. Does that make sense? Not all of them. But in general, that's what I think. So anyway, I'm going to read in Brian Birmingham's words what he said about the topic, because obviously since it became public, he felt like he had to make a statement about it. And it's actually quite a long statement, so we're going to go through it. I wasn't intending on making this public, but apparently since it's in the news already, I'd like to set the record straight. I am no longer an employee of Blizzard Entertainment, though I would return if allowed to, so that I could continue the fight against stack ranking, against the stack ranking policy from the inside. So this means that he's effectively confirming that this is why he was let go, and also that this is something that he does not like. I'm being told the forced stack ranking policy is a directive that came from the Activision Blizzard King, that's ABK, above Mike Ybarra. So again, like what we're talking about is like, if you guys know like the way that corporate structure works, is like the CEO of Blizzard and the person that's like the president, this person is like actually only like rank 5 or 6 on the chain. And the people that are on the board of directors, the assistant chairman of the board and the chairman of the board, that is Emperor Palpatine. That's the guy that's actually in charge. And all of those other people that are sitting at that table, you don't even know their fucking name. And they are the ones that are actually making the decisions. They are the Illuminati. So, Those are the people that are making the decision about stack ranking. And I think that's what really sucks. Because you have these guys, and I'm not saying these are stupid people. I don't think that they are. I think they're really smart. That's why they're on the board of directors. But they're not smart with everything. And they probably don't understand the way an artist's job fluctuates and the way a customer service representative's job fluctuates. And they apply a system that is extremely cutthroat. And I wonder why. Probably because a lot of the people in that building, in that room, on that table, are probably also extremely cutthroat. And whenever you do that, and you project that that mentality as like a trickle-down effect with the systems, you create that with everybody. And it hurts the entire company. Yeah, all in the name of profits and money. And you do have to understand that these guys are actually not in control. The true people who are in control are the stockholders. And the stockholders demand 18% return on investment over each year. And if you're at 7%, your head's on the chopping block. You're done. You're finished. And do you want to know why Bobby never got removed by Blizzard? I'm going to show you guys exactly why. Because Bobby bought the company somewhere around here. That's why. Bobby made a lot of people a lot of money. You can hate on Bobby. You can say Bobby's a piece of shit. He went to Epstein Island, and on top of that, he just seems like kind of an asshole. I don't know. Maybe he's a pleasant, nice guy. But man, threatening to kill somebody over a voicemail doesn't sound that nice. I'd love to talk to Bobby Kotick, okay? I would absolutely love to. Whenever you're ready, Bobby, let me know. I'm sure he'll probably call me tomorrow. The reason why Bobby never got fired, even after the company was under a massive scandal, is because of this graph right here. Because if you create this graph right here, you're a good guy. And that's what really matters. And that's why these other guys know that they feel like they have to do this, because they're in a corporate structure that provides, it's called a fiduciary responsibility. And what that means is that the people that run the company have a legal obligation to do what will make the company the most money and will make the company the most profitable in the long term. It's unfortunate, but there you go. It's a power play too? Oh yes, it is definitely a power play. But I just want to understand like I want you guys to understand how these things happen. And I don't quite know for sure, but I suspect it's true. I'm told that that's what it came from. Oh, I would probably agree with that, but I don't know for sure. Everybody at Blizzard I've spoken to about this, including my direct supervisors, expressed disappointment with this policy. So everybody hates it, but it still exists. Sounds a lot like the government. For those that don't know, Activision Blizzard King is a parent company formed over Activision Blizzard. Yeah. Okay. And Blizzard's market value was enough that Activision Publishing could not buy it outright. Except they rearranged a form called Activision Blizzard. Vivendi had 50% shares. Okay. In creating Activision Blizzard, they needed an executive. And Bobby Kotick from Activision Publishing was selected as the new CEO of Activision Blizzard. Mike Morhaime, still president of Blizzard at the time, reported up to Kotick's staff at Activision Blizzard. Bobby and an investor group staged a hostile takeover. And yes, this is, my dad had this happen at his company. This is effectively whenever people buy up majority shares. Like this is a hostile takeover. You guys want to see a hostile takeover? It's this website right here. Elon Musk effectively did a hostile takeover because he bought the majority of shares at Twitter. This happens all the time. Yeah, 51% attack, exactly, because that gives you the ability to make certain decisions. Now, whenever you have 51%, you can't always just make all decisions. There are some supermajority required decisions and, you know, different things like that. So it's not like 50% just makes you, 51% makes you king. No, it does not, but it makes you very close to it, okay? Yes, hostile takeover. I'll read it right here, Dennis. You got a really good way of saying it. A hostile takeover is when an investor buys a majority of shares without the board of directors' consent. There you go. That is what a hostile takeover is, and Bobby did that, effectively. There's no actual violence in a hostile takeover, despite the name. No, it's not. Not necessarily. There's no actual, real, violence, but it is done in a hostile way. It's like, fuck you, I'll do it myself. I forgot what year this happened, but resulted in greater control. Activision Blizzard then acquired King, becoming Activision Blizzard. I think it was 2013, 2014, or something like that. If I can recall, the first year they were asked to meet a specific quota of developing ratings was in the 2020 evaluations across the winter of 2020 to 2021. And again, guys, when did the game start to really go into the shitter? I don't know. I think it's probably somewhere around there. That's whenever we had Shadowlands. That's whenever we had Korthia. Yeah. You can say 2004, 2004, 2008, 2011, Legion, WoD, whatever. But I think that you can say, however much in the shitter you thought it was, Korthia was worse. Okay, you thought it couldn't get worse. Blizzard said, hold up, I got another one in me. And then they released that shit. If I can recall, this is also the first year they tried to unify the review and appraisal systems across all three child business units. So again, these are people that are, focused around business management and business organization rather than people. And businesses are not a thing. Businesses are people. People are the business. So whenever you take a system and you give that priority over the people that exist inside of that system, you're just going to create a huge problem because there's a lot of dissonance that happens there. Activision, Blizzard, and King all had similar appraisal systems at this point, and Activision Blizzard want to unify them all into one. Presumably, this was the motivation for enforcing the 5% developing rating to make it match all three studios. I'm not defending this, only explaining, of course. We had Blizzard push back against this pretty hard in 2021, and I believe that we had reversed the developing quota policy. When the sexual harassment was revealed later that year, we saw some change following that as well, and we felt like we could make an impact. The realization that there's still a minimum quota for developing, despite our objections and sternly worded letters, leads me to believe that I was operating under an illusion. I hope Blizzard's positive culture can overcome Activision Blizzard King's poison, but it isn't succeeding in doing that just yet. So having explained it all, I bear no ill will towards my former colleagues at Blizzard Entertainment. The Blizzard I knew and always wanted to work for is being torn apart by the executives at Activision Blizzard King, and it makes me sad. I truly respect the developers I worked with at Blizzard. I will still play Blizzard games. The developers at Blizzard are still amazing. Dragonflight and Wrath of the Lich King Classic are gems. I agree. Dragon riding is amazing, as in the Old War raid. And the new Titan Rune dungeons in Wrath of the Lich King. I think they're pretty fucking good, but I wish he had changed the ground effect on the Gundrak dungeon. It's hard to see where the, where it is and where it's not. But that's a minimal thing. Overall, yep, great. And Activision, and the thing about how Flame Leviathan doesn't fucking show up for 3 minutes, but that's fine. You can shoot down Pyrite at that point. It's not a big deal. Activision Blizzard King is problematic parent company. They put us under pressure to deliver both expansions early. Oh, I would have never guessed. It's deeply unjust to follow that by depriving employees that worked on them their fair share of the profit. And isn't this really shitty, right? It's like they put these guys under crunch time, and then everybody's working fucking 76 hours a week, and then finally performance reviews come time, and people are like, okay, we did it, we made it happen, it's good, and then next thing you fucking know, you're not getting your profit sharing because of this bullshit that's mandatory losers. Isn't that fucked up? I must stress that this above is my best recollection of events. I think he's probably saying that for legal indemnification. This covers a lot of years. The human memory is notoriously imperfect. I do believe that the broad strokes are accurate. The developing quota is toxic. True. It is an Activision Blizzard King policy. It is being forced on Blizzard. There you go. I can't tell you whether to boycott Blizzard games or not. How to best express my displeasure is up to you. As I said, I won't boycott. I can't participate in a policy that lets Activision Blizzard King but I can't participate in a policy that lets Activision Blizzard King steal money from deserving employees. And I can't be made to lie about it either. I want to wrap up and again clarify that I was surprised to see the Bloomberg article below. I did not provide them the email they're quoting from, but I believe the quotes are accurate. They have neither spoken to me nor reached out to me in any way. So this does make it a little bit more complicated. I think that it's a huge L that there was not even an attempt by Bloomberg to reach out to Brian Birmingham for comment. I also think that it's slightly less of an L if theoretically they did not actually talk to him about this. True, it's an L. Yeah, and I just hope that the people at Bloomberg, like Jason Schreier and all them, they understand that in order to push this agenda, which is a good agenda, it does require a sacrificial lamb. And that sacrifice is potentially Brian Birmingham's future career. That's just the truth. They did reach out. They got no response. Released the article anyway. They got no response and released the article anyway. Yeah, that's pretty... I don't know. Like, it's... If I look at it from Bloomberg's perspective, what Bloomberg could say, I'm not saying this is true, they could say that because Brian Birmingham went on record as being a public figure for Blizzard by appearing in interviews and appearing and talking and speaking for Blizzard, that they felt it was appropriate to report on it without his consent because he was a public figure and this is in the realm of public knowledge. That's the best excuse I can possibly give Bloomberg. I don't know if that's what they said, but if it's not, that's what they probably should say. Well, what they probably should say is sorry, but the second thing they should say is that. The union card and fight these dirty practices. This is a bit fucked up. They tried, they didn't reach. They just wanted to make a public enemy without multiple tries over a few days. Yeah, definitely. That just means they sent an email, and surprise, surprise, they didn't reply, and then they said they reached out for comment. Media's not been good with that, including many articles that were proven later that they asked for comment 10 minutes before publishing. Yeah. I mean, I understand that, like, you know, you can look at it from his perspective. Jason Schreier, you know, it's his job, and it's true. It's not like he's reporting fake news, okay? He's not lying. He's not lying. However, it really sucks that this happened. I'm not going to 100% blame him because I don't really know what happened behind the scenes. But that's my read, and that's my evaluation of the situation. I'll see if he made any comments to follow up this himself, but I'm not sure. Let me see here. So yeah, Jason Schreier responded to this, and while I of course empathize with the team having to deal with the repercussions here, Brian Birmingham is the lead and public spokesperson of WoW Classic, not a private figure, and this is a company-wide issue. It's newsworthy, important story, with or without his permission. Well, if this had been a lower-level employee and not a top lead and public spokesperson, the calculus would be much different. And the truth is that Jason Schreier does have a point here. He does. I hope that... Yeah, I hope that he understands that it can hurt his career too. He's right. He's not wrong. He is not right. And that's what I was saying, right? And this is why, like, if you go back and you watch, like, this whole segment, I never explicitly condemned him for this. Because I don't think it's that simple. Yeah, with or without his permission, does he? I do think, to an extent, yes. To this extent, maybe not. I don't know. Let's see here. I'll read another comment, and I think Brian Birmingham actually responded to him directly, and we'll go ahead and read this. Okay, I'll open up that one, and I'll open up this one here. One of his coworkers said, okay, reached out a couple of days ago. It looks like he didn't see my messages. I did not see your messages. I still don't. Where did you send them? To my now deactivated Blizzard email address. Email and LinkedIn. Would still love the chat. Hit me up if on here anytime. Of course I did, based on his tweet and message. Yeah, I'm sure anyone believes that. For what it's worth, I believe him. I just doubt that he knew how to reach me and want the public record to know I didn't provide with him or talk to him prior to the article. I think that makes sense. Unethical, since he's effectively martyred the guy? Yeah, he did. And again, this is a situation where we can talk about how bad Jason Schreier is for doing this and how, you know, journalism can sometimes become cannibalistic, and we can go on for a long time. I'm not going to do that. If you want to do that, that's fine. I think the real culprits here are the people that are promoting a system that pits employees against each other and, in my opinion, results in a lower quality product for the end user, which is you, me, and the customer. Those are the people that are really being affected by this. So I really hope Blizzard is able to second guess this. I hope the people that work at Blizzard are able to come together and actually protest this in an effective way. The truth is that if enough people at Blizzard said, fuck you, we're not doing this, it would be gone tomorrow. And in my opinion, I hope that's what happens. So yeah, that's basically what it was. This is a very long, very long segment here, I guess. Probably for an hour I've talked about this, but yeah. So they're required on paper to have good employees and shitty employees. Yes. That's effectively correct. This is a legit thing. I used to be a manager for a company, and HR would decline my annual employee review whenever they said I didn't have enough negative. I'd tell them that I didn't leave anything negative because there wasn't anything negative to say, and they'd legit tell me then make something up was fucking bonkers. And this is a situation where, like, I really wish this dude would have recorded them saying that. I don't care if it's, oh, recording the public. No, I don't give a fuck. This is disgusting. This is ruining people's lives. Fuck them. Let's see here. Investors expect corporations to demonstrate efficiency. Yes, that's right. And investors, you've got to imagine, a lot of people that are like super serious investors, the unfortunate reality is that they are just one step up from CryptoZoo investors, but they think they're Jordan Belfort. That's the problem. And whenever they see some sort of fucking Lord of the Flies policy, it makes their dick hard because it makes them think of those movies like fucking, what's his name? Who's Douglas who? Fucking in the Wall Street movie, Money Never Sleeps, Gordon Gekko, Michael Douglas. Yeah. No, not the Wall Street. No, this is an older one, okay? Yeah, Michael fucking Douglas. Yeah, Gordon fucking Gekko, guys. Greed is good. There you go. Let's see here. What is he supposed to do if two employees are equally good? Flip a coin. Remember, guys, Blizzard's been audited by the state. The bad people are gone. Oh, this is a person referring to what I've said. I never said that. I said that the bad people are gone that are sexually harassing and doing these kinds of things. And didn't I also say whenever I did coverage of this event that they would use the removal of the people that were sexual, sexual deviants, you could say, as a smokescreen for the actual bad and harmful things that they were doing to employees? And I thought that this was massively underreported. Because if you go back and you watch my 2021 coverage of this, I guarantee you I said that. You try to catch me in a lie, you're the one lying. Stop it. So fucking annoying. Pretty sure Asmon says this regarding the sexual harassment stuff, the dev himself. Yeah, to act like Activision, Blizzard King, and Blizzard are different from one another is a bit disingenuous, though. Oh, really? Tell that to Brian Birmingham, who works at the fucking company. Shut the fuck up. I hate these... Fuck! He literally said that... He said... I didn't say this. He did. So it's better to report a curve of improvement than everyone doing well? I don't know. Never change Blizzard. Unfortunately, the new thing was a change. That's the worst thing. Yeah. Rank 14. Actually true. Yeah. Apparently a lot of the guys that, work up there, they used to be big fans of Classic WoW. They used to be rankers, and now it's like, you know what? Those Grand Marshals, those were the days. Let's put it in the company. Why not? There's a large company that cares about ethics. Does Blizzard not? I mean, all the unethical news come from Blizzard. Really? What about Microsoft laying off 1,200 people the other day? And Meta doing the exact same thing? And what about, let's see, just recently, FIFA having the World Cup in Qatar that has, like, multiple human rights violations? Let's see. What about Google? Yeah, Google. It's not 1,200. Sorry, 12,000. I've missed a zero. And I was doing them a favor by missing that zero. Let's see. Nestle. We've got... I mean, obviously, like, anytime you hear about Adidas or Nike, that's probably not good, is it? Let's see. What else? I mean, fuck. How's that unethical? Okay, let me give you another example. Stadia. Stadia recently closed, and whenever Stadia closed, the people that had moved there were reassured less than a week beforehand that everything was going great, and then they were cut. I consider that unethical. I do. I consider saying everything is going great whenever it clearly was not, and then just like randomly destroying the entire fucking, the whole branch. Yeah, that's unethical. And this happened like 2 weeks ago. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, there you go. Brain dead chatters think the USA is the same Qatar. Well, I'm just saying, like, I didn't say Qatar. Like, Qatar, it is their right as human beings that exist on this planet to create a society that they want to have. There are a lot of things that I disagree with that society, but I am not going to go and force them to change. It's their right to do that. I would never go to Qatar and start complaining about what they're doing. I wouldn't go there, or I would go there and respect their culture and respect their laws and respect what they're doing, just as I would hope that they would do whenever they came to America. And I think doing the opposite is bad, whether it's them coming here or us going there. It doesn't matter how morally justified you think you are, even though I probably agree with you. Let's see here. Let's be what Holinka was tweeting about the other day. Let's see here. What did Holinka say? I noticed the sound of vague tweeting. Man, I didn't really think I'd be a strong advocate for unions in the game industry until working for Blizzard over the past 2 or 3 years. I really love the people I work with and my immediate bosses, but beyond that, zero trust. Yeah, I remember seeing this tweet, and I thought this was a little bit fucking, just depressing. So I think that explains a lot. Let's see here. Blizzard's just a garbage company now. You see what happened over to it over the years. Blizzard's parent company is not Blizzard itself. Yeah. I do think that in a lot of cases, like, you don't actually have developers that want to produce a bad product. You have people that want to do good work. Sometimes they do bad work whenever they're trying to do good work, but all of them are trying to do good work. And it sucks whenever they're in this position. Unions can fix that? Oh, like unions can fix that. Oh, you're saying they can't fix it. Okay. Yeah, unions are, listen, there is a certain element of unions that is meet the new boss, same as the old boss. You're right. It is a different type of tyranny. And I'm not a massive union simp. I think that unions can be problematic in the same way that corporate leadership can be problematic, or at least to the same effect. But I do think, and I think a lot of people could agree with me on this, that the pendulum is very, very far in the corporate leadership's direction. And a little bit of a course correction would be good for most people. Let's see here. Most discussed games on Twitter, Reddit, and Discord. Okay, here we go. Well, anyway, so that's basically that's the story. That's what happened. Overall, massive fucking W's for Brian. Like, this is the first thing that I responded whenever I saw the article myself. Where is it? It was like I think Wowhead that broke the news. I said W Brian. I mean, it's not even a question. This is fucking insane that he would be willing to do that and put shit on the line. Massive respect for him. Huge. I think any company would be lucky to have him, because the truth is that WoW Classic is in a great state. That's what he was directly responsible for, and it works. So there you go. Imagine releasing a game and it works.